I really do think the hiring process and the attracting process starts with having a compelling vision that people can buy into and really follow you for. Especially millennials, speaking as one, we want more than just a job. We want a vision that we can fight for, a cause that we can bring into reality. And I think if you want to attract the right talent, you got to have that foundation in place.
You're listening to The Successful Bookkeeper with your host, Michael Palmer. Listen each week as inspiring guests share their secrets of success to help you increase your confidence, work smarter, and build a business you love. This episode of The Successful Bookkeeper is brought to you by PureBookkeeping.com, the proven system to grow your bookkeeping business.
Welcome back to another episode of the Successful Bookkeeper Podcast. I am your host, Michael Palmer, and today's show is going to be another great one. Our guest is Bob Wang, who is the owner of Legacy Advantage, a bookkeeping company that started in 2015 and will make $1 million in sales this year. What a number, what a growth result. Welcome to the show, Bob.
Thank you. Glad to be here. Hello, Michael.
Great to have you. Well, listen, Bob, before we get too far into this, let's have you introduce yourself to our listener.
Yeah, sure. My name is Bob. I used to work at a Big Four accounting firm, and I really enjoyed it. But throughout the whole process, I realized that generally speaking, people have a hard time finding good quality bookkeepers. So as an accountant, when I got really bad books, I just had to spend a lot of time trying to fix them all up. And it was just a bad experience for all parties involved. You know, it was bad for me, the accountant, the partners need to bill more, which wasn't a happy conversation. The clients didn't know what was going on. The bookkeeper got defensive. So, you know, I just thought there has to be a service out there that can provide this high quality bookkeeping service. And so I wanted to start a Legacy to provide just that, a high quality brand that people can trust in the world of bookkeeping. So that's our vision. And in my spare time, as I shared, Michael, we just have a 1-year-old. She turns 1-year-old in 2 days, and super cute. She just learned how to clap recently. So she's kind of congratulating herself when she's done something good, which is quite hilarious.
Beautiful. Just such a joy to have small children and watching them grow. So I can relate having two, just a little over 2-year-olds. So I'm a year ahead of you, and there's good things to come. Let me tell you, just keeps getting better.
The business is like a baby, so kind of two infants.
Yeah, and that's a lot to take on. Growing a business and growing a family, it's, you know, it definitely, I'm probably getting a few punches there and some sleepless nights and all that good stuff on both ends. But your growth has been incredible, Bob. You started with a bang, and the bang just kept going. And can you share with us what that journey's been like? And I'd love to get into some of the success strategies that you've used.
Yeah, the biggest difference right off the bat is, thankfully, I had some inheritance from my grandparents. They saved their entire lives to give me a head start. I think came to about $60,000 or $70,000 Canadian, because they saved their money in Chinese yuan. Anyway, it got translated over, and it saved them $70,000. It could be a part of a down payment, it could be a really nice car, but I thought I want to invest in this business, because when my grandparents passed away and they saved their entire life, they wanted me to get ahead and not spend on frivolous things. At least that's what I think their intention was. And I thought, well, $70,000, that's enough for a 1-year salary. Let me invest in a new employee right away. So I think that made a huge difference, because that allowed me to be out there and do a lot of sales, and then have a competent employee to do a lot of the work, and obviously I'll review, but that just allowed me to duplicate myself right away. So that investment was a huge difference. And actually, one of the things I want to share with you guys today is just how our hiring process has changed from day one to now. In the beginning, I was super busy. I had breakfast networking events such as BNI. I had morning coffees, lunches with accountants, afternoon coffees, dinner event, after party, because I wanted to get more business. I want to do more networking. So I was super busy. And the entire time I thought, hey, we're getting so much new business. I need someone to come on board and just execute, because I just don't have time to train people. That was a huge mistake. Recently I wrote an article called Hire for Fit and Train for Skill. But in the beginning, I didn't know that. I hired for skill. And, even now, not a lot of people know how to use QuickBooks Online. So I just hired for people and looked for people that knew how to use QuickBooks Desktop, thinking that, well, hey, the transition is not going to be so hard. So I did that, and that was such a huge mistake, because even though they're the same brand, the technology is so different. People that I hired didn't know the difference between matching and adding transactions and the bank feeds. They didn't know how the GST, PSD modules worked. And what ended up happening is I had to stop sales efforts, be in the office, fix all their mistakes, eventually let them go, hire new employees, and fix the other remaining mistakes. And when I put it all together, counted all the salaries, missed sales, wasted time, I think it came to a $15,000 mistake. So that was a $15,000 HR MBA right there.
Yeah, remarkable learnings. What have you done to correct it?
Yeah, so from that, I just realized that having a cultural fit and a baseline understanding of technology was actually a much better foundation in building a team, rather than hiring for the skill set I need. So we put together a whole interview selection process that made sure we have the right people. So now we have 2 offices, 15, 16 staff, and each one is a tremendous contributor, both in a team culture perspective as well as the contributions.
Beautiful. It's remarkable. What would you say your ideal tactic to attract these staff in has been?
I think, I don't mind, and I would love to get into kind of our hiring process. But I think taking a few steps back, I really do think the hiring process and the attracting process starts way before then. It starts with having a compelling vision that people can buy into and really follow you for. Especially millennials, speaking as one, we want more than just a job. We want a vision that we can fight for, a cause that we can bring into reality. And I think if you want to attract the right talent, you got to have that foundation in place. And for us, our vision is to become the most trusted bookkeeping brand in Canada. And that's like one of our first lines in our hiring advertisement. We want to attract people that believe in that cause. So I want to say, right off the bat, you got to make sure that you have a very compelling vision that people can understand and they can buy into. That's the foundation. And then it comes down to the tactics, such as kind of the job ads. So right off the bat, our job ad is very different. It stands out. So traditionally, a job ad is something like bookkeeping associate or accounting associate, and then job description, and then the compensation. It's very kind of templated. It looks like any other job. So ours is something like this. So our title says we're looking for an accounting associate. So right off the bat, it stands out. And then we get into a description of who we are. We say Legacy Advantage is a bookkeeping firm. Though we are a startup, our dream is to become the most trusted bookkeeping brand in the world. So right off the bat, we say this is our dream, this is our vision, and we only want people that can buy into and contribute to this vision. And then we say we continually wow our clients by providing them with peace of mind, clarity, and financial intelligence. So those are our 3 brand promises. So again, right off the bat, they know what we stand for, what we're trying to achieve. And then we get into kind of describing what characteristics, what character traits we want from the candidate. So the next section is you want to add value to clients. You want to be part of a great team. You appreciate a good debate, even with your boss. You never settle. You believe in a meritocracy. You love learning, etc. So right off the bat, people that have these character traits are attracted to this job ad because it describes who they are. And then the next section is about us, we. So we, legacy, care more about your intelligence and values than your experience. We aren't afraid to make mistakes. We work to provide the best bookkeeping experience. We want our associates to become competent, respected, and independent business consultants. And then we get into the job description, and then we get into the compensation. So we kind of flip that job description and job ad upside down, and we put the focus on core values. But as a result, we actually have a lot of candidates tell us, look, your ad was just so unique, and I just wanted to be part of this team. So right off the bat, we get the right candidates.
It's remarkable, and sounds like it's helping. You're up to 16 staff. Sounds like your team is growing, and you want to keep on growing it. When you hire staff, what would you say your process would look like for training them? What could you help our listener understand around the training?
Yeah, so the training process takes many forms. So when we first onboard them, there's a one-day training that first focuses on core values, what the right behaviors are, and then we get into the technology. So we primarily use QuickBooks Online and Podio, and we make sure that they know how to use the software on day one. So that's our one-day training. And then we have an education budget. So we give everyone a set amount every year to go to conferences, to go to courses. And then we have a very unique program that we have an unlimited nonfiction book budget. So any book that's nonfiction, that's educational, let us know. We'll buy it for you. We'll add it to the legacy library, and you can read it. When you're done, give it back. And the whole point is we encourage our associates to grow as individuals and people, and not just as accounting professionals. And the other things that we do is we have individual mentoring programs. We do file reviews, and in the file review process, we sit down with them, tell them where they're wrong, where they can improve, and they can increase their accounting knowledge that way. Two other really unique programs that we have internally is one is a leadership development program. So in any business, my true belief is everything rises and falls on leadership. And if we want to grow, if we want to have multiple locations and have a couple in Calgary, Ontario, and so on and so forth, we need to have leaders in every single location. And we got to start training now. We got to started training from day one. So every month we have one Saturday that we meet together for an hour and a half or 2 hours. Everybody reads a leadership book that we have assigned, and then we come together and, like a mastermind group, talk about what leadership is, what leadership challenges you faced, and where can we grow and help each other out in that way. So it's a very mutually educational environment. The last one is we train our people in what we call financial intelligence. Some people call financial monitoring, but it's things like controllership services. So we teach people what a KPI is, how to look out for opportunities, how to think like a CFO, so we can be that trusted financial advisor to our clients. So it's in pure bookkeeping terms, how do we empower our clients around our finances? We got to know what those KPIs that we can use, basically our toolboxes, and then using those to educate our clients.
It's fantastic, and I can really hear how that would be powerful for not only educating your people, satisfying your customers, and improving the deliverable to your customer, but as well retention of your staff. I mean, you're helping them get more meaning and drive more value in their career, in their job. I'm sure that helps with retention.
Yeah, and on that, I put a lot of thought and intentionality in designing a job. So there's a book called Drive by, I think it was Daniel Pink. Mm-hmm. And he says motivation comes from three things. The job has to have autonomy, has to have mastery, and has to have purpose. And we design our job to have all these three. We give our associates purpose because they're on this journey to build an incredible brand. And they have autonomy. We have a role environment that stands for results of work environment. And they also have opportunities for mastery. So again, even though we are a bookkeeping firm, we don't do any taxes, we don't do any audits, but there's so much depth that we can go into in using that bookkeeping data by providing CFO level services. Kind of one of those, an inch wide and a mile deep. So that's where we want to focus, and that's our position in the market. We want to train our associates to be CFOs and controllers for our clients.
It's great. You know, in terms of the technology, you mentioned you're using QuickBooks Online. That's been kind of where you started, and technology is a hot conversation. There's lots of apps, not only for bookkeeping, but for general running of your company. You must have seen a whole bunch of different tools and different technologies. What have you seen? What have you liked? What have you used? I'm sure the listener would love to hear about that.
Yeah. You know, it's so interesting. There's just so many apps out there, and there's new ones coming out all the time, that it's actually a full-time job just to even keep up with all that's changing. Because, you know, even if a new app comes out in the market, you can't fully integrate it into your system. You got to test it. You got to know how to use it. You got to know how to introduce it to your clients. You got to know the pros and cons. And that takes us a lot of time. So again, we just chose to focus on a few that we really love and roll it out to as many clients as possible, and then just slowly introduce new ones as they become more mature and work out their own bugs. So like I said, QuickBooks Online has been a platform and our foundation for all the other pieces of technology. We use HubDoc a lot for retrieving documents. We use Pluto for paying our suppliers and teaching our clients to pay their suppliers. Pluto has actually been tremendous for our nonprofit clients because they can get multiple authorizations without actually physically being there. And then we also use Retessa for pre-authorized debit for some of our clients. And we have a daycare that they basically get the same amount every single month instead of getting pre-signed checks. I should say post-dated checks. They would just use Retessa to do direct billing. That's made a huge difference for our clients. Actually, Michael, you raised a really good point in how important technology is in our firm and in any firm in today's bookkeeping space. And you know, we use a lot of technology. We're not really a remote team, but we use a lot of technology to leverage our time and to improve our clients' experience. And in order to execute that, we actually need our team members to know how to use technology and be intuitive about it. So going back to our hiring process, one of the key things that we do is we actually put our team members through a technology test. So after they go through the submit the jobs, fill out a form, do the phone interviews, we actually send them an email with a list of questions and 2 pieces of software so they can learn on their own and demonstrate back to us. So we use Podio a lot as part of our CRM, and then QuickBooks Online. And so we would literally send them a list of questions that said, hey, Joe, please learn Podio and show us how to create a task, create a recurring task, create a contact, and so on. And then QuickBooks Online, I would say, show us how to create a bill, pay a bill, what's the posting journal entry behind that, how to file GST, and to say, go learn. They don't know any of those programs before coming into this interview. So we give them 3 to 5 days. They can schedule a 15-minute call with us, and then they would actually demonstrate through video on how to do those things. So that's been a huge difference in how we hire, because a lot of people say they're good with technology, but they're not really good at learning new things very quickly. So that this test allows us to assess for that. And to be honest, Michael, within 30 seconds you can kind of tell if someone's intuitive with technology or not. And we just want to make sure that we're hiring the right people that fit within this ecosystem.
Absolutely. And I'm sure having a barrier like that, it's going to tell a lot about the person just through the act of them going through that process, how they react to it, what their response is, and how timely they are to do it, the questions that they send back. There's a lot that can be learned through just something as simple as having them do something like this. So it's a powerful move. Podio's a new one. I have not heard.
Oh, is that right?
I've not heard of anyone using Podio. I mean, it's not like I'm the know-it-all of all technology in the industry, but that's the first time I've heard someone speak of it. What's your thoughts on it? Sounds like you're using it. You're loving it. What can you tell us about
love it? Yeah. Do you know about the program at all? Or I guess I should just start from the top for your listeners.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's basically a very malleable platform. It's basically got one template, and you can customize it however way you want. What I love about it is that it's got so many things built in. It's got a workspace function. So, we have two teams. We have a management workspace. We have sales and marketing workspace. And that just allows the information to be centralized and not get too cluttered. It's got a chat function. It's got tasks, recurring tasks. It allows me to, at a glance, view what my day looks like and look at all my tasks. It synchronizes with MailChimp. So when we add a new contact to our contact database, it adds it to the MailChimp and adds to our newsletter. It's just a tremendous app.
It's great. I look forward to learning more about it, and we'll keep it on the radar. Certainly cool to hear about new technologies. And I know you're a person that uses a lot of it, so you're constantly probably on the lookout and testing all sorts of different stuff.
This is not a very accounting focused system, but we make it work. We've tried Asana, we've tried Insightly, and then we settled on Podio being the best.
Very cool.
Yeah, we like it because it's very customizable. You can add different fields. For example, we want to track who the accountant is. We just add a field to the forms. We want to track what the monthly contribution is in terms of the monthly recurring revenue. We add it there. So it just allows us to track all sorts of things.
Beautiful. Well, listen, Bob, I like to always ask, you've gone through this, you've got some very great experience from your accounting experience. You brought that into your firm. Your firm's just growing like a weed. I'm sure there's been lots of ups and downs and learnings. But for you as an owner, what tips or advice would you give back to a fellow owner in growing their business from a mindset perspective?
Mindset? Oh man, dream big. Dream big. I just think, whatever you think is possible, you're right. Or whatever you think is not possible, you're right. And, my big dream is to build a global bookkeeping brand that people can recognize and trust. And it starts right here in Vancouver, hitting $500,000 in year one, $1 million in year two, and then we're going to open a few in Calgary. It's going to happen. And, the universe is a funny place. You say it, it's going to happen. You say it, people around you are going to help you. I think, dream big. Don't be afraid. That would be my biggest advice.
I think it's fantastic advice, and hopefully our listener will take that and rethink their own dreams and give them a bit of a booster shot.
Yeah, we hope so as well.
Absolutely.
I also want to add, dream big and develop your own set of core values as well. Because you can't build a team around you if you don't know who you want. If you don't know who you are, what you represent, where you're going, then it's going to be hard to find people to go along with you because you don't necessarily know where you're going. So having a great vision will help you define who you want in your journey. And I think a lot of good things comes out of just putting it out there and see what happens.
Beautiful. Well, Bob, it's been a real pleasure having you on, and I'm excited to have you back again to see where you are in a year from now. I mean, you may already be a global brand in a year based on the speed at which you're growing. And my hat is off to you for building such a wonderful business and providing 16 other families with income. That's
a huge responsibility, isn't it? It scares me sometimes. Yeah.
It's a huge responsibility, and it's also a huge impact that it makes on our communities. So my hat's off to you, and I'm sure the listener as well. My hat is off. Their hat is likely off to you as well. So we hope you'll come back and join us again, but thanks for being on the podcast.
No problem. And good luck to all you guys, to all of you who are growing your own teams. Don't make the mistake. Hire for fit, train for skill. Do not look for skill. You can always train for skill. Again, thank you, Michael, for having me on this podcast, and best of luck to you.
Absolutely. Thanks, Bob. That wraps another episode of the Successful Bookkeeper podcast. To learn more about today's guest and to get access to all sorts of valuable free business building resources, you can go to thesuccessfulbookkeeper.com. Until next time, goodbye.
You've been listening to The Successful Bookkeeper with Michael Palmer. For more information and to download the resources mentioned in this episode, please visit us at thesuccessfulbookkeeper.com. Thank you for listening.